Welcome back. The Between Stars and Suns, Season 2, Episode 7. Woo! A lot happened last time. Usually does, but this was wow. I don't even know whether I want to ask for a recap what you remember from last time because there's so much. But yeah, I mean, if we could just have like a very, very short, what do you remember? The very last thing that you remember from last time from everybody, and then from Ernest, just a little montage statement about what he was doing while everybody else was having vulnerable moves.
I killed a boar man, met an old acquaintance, and got my memories back.
And still looks like young Atticus.
Yes, I still look like a baby.
Yep. Dame Georgie?
Well, I had a time with everybody at Hargrave House because, well, Sir Atticus is back and his senses are never dulled, so he knows that I'm a vampire, but we had a connection there because I have not, to his knowledge, murdered anyone. Liat remains to be seen as anyone but a thorn in my side. She refuses me every time I've interacted with her, and it's just a pain. But it's just like, who's in charge of Hargrave House? The world may never know.
Or the world will know, but Dame Georgie won't.
Yeah.
Miss Kanaan.
So my day started with a lovely conversation with the legacy, really getting to know him, getting to know a little bit more about his family.
My favorite kill.
Yeah. After that spirited discussion, had a little lovely little conversation with Dame Georgie, where she generously offered blood to him, but well, I don't think he took it. At least that's how Liat views it. I think on the outside, she toyed with him with the possibility of giving him blood, but at the last minute decided to not. And then she stepped on a priest's hand and made him sleep in a haunted basement of his church. Yeah, well, she was looking up, researching the demon of Kilbernabby.
And Ernest.
So Ernest spent the rest of the day, as he often does when he's feeling unmoored. He sneaks in the back alley into the back of house of the Grand Guignol, and he negotiates himself into a dressing room that's empty, hangs his clothes on the peg, and makes his way to the balcony to watch the rehearsals of whatever happens to be going on, whatever production's there. And quietly to himself, invisibly to others, he just criticizes the direction and the lighting and who hired these actors. That mark is wrong, and fritters away an entire afternoon.
Well, there's going to be quite the surprise, like once Ernest returns, I'm sure. So just to go over, conditions before we head into night phase. The Explorer has dark desires as permanent per their wishes. Miss Kanaan has as seen by the demon, and now most beloved. We'll see how that plays out as we go along. And our legacy has the condition now called protege. So we will see how that gets resolved in the next few sessions, who knows. And then unseen, you still have deja vu and the bloody storyteller as your conditions. Okay. I think Ernest owes some masks. You can choose to do them now before we get started, or you can choose to wait until the end, until dawn phase. That is up to you.
I would defer, as I think I might be able to echo some things.
Perfect. All right, great. And then I believe you can take a you can take an item from the basement, as everybody else has done last time, and add it to your personal quarters, like what you think was left as souvenirs from long dead hunters at Hargrave House. What do you think Ernest picks out from the stash?
I think he's very practically minded in this regard because he has been spending an awful lot of time on his own and being a little shaken given the amount of creature interactions he's been forced into as of late. Rummaging through the layers of debris in the basement of Hargrave House, he will just find a rather stylish flintlock pistol. It's got some pearl inlay. It's lovely, easily concealable if he were not invisible.
The gun comes out from nowhere and then shoots off in Act 3. Great.
Precisely.
Oh my gosh, that's great. All right, cool. And I don't remember if there was anything else that I was forgetting for Ernest, but that should do it for now. All right. I'm just going to read the beginning of the unseen to remind ourselves. A night at the Grand Guignol, the baker's son. Every class of people in London is represented in the audience at the Theatre Grand Guignol. They have come to watch the newest production, The Baker's Son, a story filled with romance, heartbreak, and bucketfuls of blood. First prompt, paint the scene for everyone. As the limelights pop to life and the crimson curtain is raised, what do we see as our eyes scan the stage that tells us this is the story of a humble baker's son? And don't forget to put your answers into the space, so this way you can recall them for later.
The Grand Guignol is nothing if not subtle. So there is, as part of the set, this sort of wooden backdrop in the shape of a house, or rather cut out in the shape of a modest little cottage. But on the top, it's scrawled in big red paint, bakery.
The actual boards themselves, as well as perhaps much of the set dressing, has been scattered with so much flour, it almost looks like snow.
Outside the house, there is a little bit of a stall that has various loaves of bread which are just painted rocks on stage.
We see our protagonist, the baker's son, wearing an outfit of it's kind of patchwork. It's kind of not the best, but it's probably the nicest thing that unfortunately he has.
Sir Atticus, I think you were planning on going over to Dr. Fisher's lab at the observatory to see what you could find for notes. I think you make your way there. It is dark. What stars are out twinkle very gently because, of course, being London, it's foggy. You can barely see to the atmosphere. But this haze creates a very strange effect. When you get to the observatory, it's almost as if the haze is building not only from the sky, but also on the ground as well as you make your approach. You were shown where the lab was, where the office was, in daylight. But as you approach, you see that there seems to be a moving light in that particular office with no one else about. Say it's on the second or third floor of the observatory. What do you do?
I do what any good hunter does. I silently draw my weapons and creep up the stairs.
Go ahead and give me a night move. What are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
I fear that I will alert whatever is in the room and they will get away.
Much worse than that. I think that they're going to, you are interfering in some kind of plan, and they will take it out on you rather roughly, if not taking you out completely in their effort to escape.
Violence. Okay, I'm good at that. Vitality, since this is a physicality, or
I'm going to say in this case, since you haven't quite alerted them yet, I'm going to say that it's composure. You have
okay.
you have to try to do stealth first.
I have advantage on the single roll as I am channeling the power, the senses, the physicality of the beast. And thank goodness I did. Oh boy. That is a 10
Nice.
on the dice. Because otherwise it would have been a 4 and a 1.
It could have been fun. All right. Come back to you in half a mo. All right. Dame Georgie, please remind me where you wanted to be at this point.
I honestly don't remember from when last time what I said about going throughout the night phase, but
Okay.
I do believe we have answered one of the Figg's questions.
Correct.
I want to handle that threat. And
Where do you go?
I think we see the. I think I want to go back to the Figg's place of residence and wander those streets in disguise, of course, because, well, I'm trying to lure Obert Figg to me.
And how are you disguised?
Well, I think I am wearing this very beautiful dress. I've torn at the edges of it. If you look too closely, you realize that make and model is a bit too fancy for any common prostitute in this sort of district. However, it's the only thing I really had at hand and ready available. So I had to dirty it up a bit. Typically, Dame Georgie wears hats during the day, keeps very form-fitting figure. Right now you can tell that he has long hair for some reason. It's pretty odd how he had a quote-unquote wig so available at the ready, but that's how he's dressed.
Now, do you go out on the streets, or are you kind of ducking into alleyways?
Into alleyways, somewhere secluded, because any good hunter targets prey that's by itself.
Night move. What are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
Multiple things, not just Obert Figg. I'm concerned that other people will find me like this, and I don't want that.
Yeah, there's a pretty decent likelihood that you may run into certain toughs in the neighborhood that would require services, but then Obert Figg would come upon all of you, and well, he does have that big knife.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that you need to do a night move with composure.
Oh, what's my composure at? It's not bad. Oh, that's good. That is a 7.
Oh, there's going to be some complication for this for sure. Okay. Back to you in a sec. All right. Miss Kanaan, I think you were out to look for these mysterious, I don't know, alien people, folk that were using or had a hand in this time shift ability.
Oh yeah, that was our solution. I forgot. Yeah. Let me just, because we wrote it down somewhere, right?
There is actually, and I didn't discover this until like maybe a couple of sessions ago, but I mean there is like a
The notes
place to put
section.
resolution, like right
Resolution,
above
yeah.
rewards.
Yeah.
To write shit down.
Yeah.
That's
We
great.
have references to Time Cop, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, I remember they were on the run. They came through our world, our dimension, whatever anomaly is now coming through the entrance that they made, and they are hiding out somewhere
Yes.
until it blows over. But obviously, it won't blow over for us because time anomaly.
Yes.
So yes, I do want to do my best to find these entities who have gone into hiding.
Where do you suppose that you'll look first?
So what are the locations for meantime? I know that's I know we've got the hospital, and we have the
you know what?
observatory, right?
Yes, but you also have the HMS Whippet.
Oh,
in
that
dock.
could be interesting.
Yeah, they brought it back.
I mean, I do like sailors.
Hmm?
So yeah, I will see if I can get on board the ship to see if I can maybe just using my sheer beauty to attract these entities.
I'm going to say, like, as you approach the ship, you're seeing the same type of weird haze that Sir Atticus has been seeing over by the observatory. It's kind of like, shifting in the atmosphere, but also on the ground, almost like as if it's alive. And as you approach the HMS Whippet, you sort of see figures of maybe sailors on guard, or, just kind of like on duty a little bit. But they're moving strangely. And as you get closer, you discover why. They're moving backwards. Or maybe they move and then they shift back, and then they move a little bit more forward in the next minute. So people around the Whippet are not in sync. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I should describe my ensemble too, right?
Yes.
So I think that she's in this. It's not a contemporary style dress. It's not corseted and fitted in the way that these Victorian dresses are. It's this sort of cinnabar color, and it has these like stone geometric embroideries on the sleeves and on the bust and on the trim of the skirt. She has this sort of ornate, almost cage-like veil that is it's also in a similar red color. But there's also these sort of weird pictographs, I guess you could call them, on the veil itself. She was told that when she acquired it that they were Martian, but she's never really found out if they were or not. She just thought it was cute.
Of course she did. Excellent. All right. Yeah. So I assume that you continue past these time-shifting sailors to get on board the Whippet then.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and get on the Whippet. But let me just double check my moves.
Sure.
want to try and make one of these guys a servant.
Okay.
Actually, no, I have an idea.
Okay.
I am going to find the cabin that James was in. And I have this music box that plays a sort of discordant, unrecognizable sound. It usually causes strange dreams and delirious visions, but I'm hoping that it maybe also attracts some, otherworldly entities to this sort of concentrated space that I'm creating.
I love it. Night move though, with
Love it.
sensitivity.
I'm afraid I'm going to not contact the. I'm not going to contact the robbers. I'm going to contact the cop, so to speak. The
Okay.
anomaly will come for me.
It will be worse because if you roll low, then I think not only will the anomaly come for you, but I think the mastermind will enjoy meeting you, Miss Kanaan.
You said it'd be worse. Let's say hello.
We'll see.
So I'm using the box for advantage.
Sure.
But
well, hold on. Let's see. What's your
I was about to ask my conditions. Does most beloved knock that
that's
out?
that's gonna cancel that out. Sure.
All right, cool. All right. Let's see what happens. That is it's an 11 total.
Oh, okay, great. And you are going to the room. All right. Let me get to Ernest, and then we will resolve everything after the next unseen. Ernest, so you've found your way back to Hargrave House, probably unseen as normal. Who do you think that you cotton on to? Maybe you even were eavesdropping on the plan or what they were thinking about doing for this evening. Who do you think that you've followed?
I had such an interesting run-in with Liat the first time around, and that was where most of my investigation was headed anyway. And now hearing that apparently they can all smell really well and time's not a thing, I'm compelled, just for story's sake, to see what this is all about and head to the HMS Whippet.
Nice. Okay. And naked as always. That should be great.
I'm
You
just
two
holding the tiny gun between two hands.
okay. Nice. I think you do stay at a respectful as well as scent that downwind distance of Liat. So this way you're not necessarily detected right away. And again, that you see the haze, you see the time shifting sailors, moving oddly. And you see that Miss Kanaan has a very determined way to go into the ship itself to find James Allardyce's room, where he was staying or being kept, when they discovered him on the Whippet. Do you follow or do you veer off somewhere else on the Whippet?
I think I linger with the sailors for just a beat or two, observing their movements, trying to figure out how I could possibly recreate this in a stage. And as I'm kind of mentally blocking, I trip over the boards and have to brace myself, and a gun just goes going off into the couple feet away from me, and I have to scramble to pick it up again. And I want to lean over to a sailor and in their ear whisper, I don't think that this is a good place to be and you should leave. Using my move in order to direct him and see if I am able to command him at all, like a director and actor.
Go ahead and read off your move.
Yep, scrolling, pardon. It is the Quicksilver Tongue. I have a tongue that can constrict the human heart, and with a sigh of poetic phrasing, when I whisper your desires or my desires to a side character, the role with presence, and give them directions like an artist would a muse. On a 7 to 9, I pick 2 from the following list. On a 10 plus, I pick 3. They will follow your directions promptly. They will follow your directions accurately. No consequences or repercussions will come of this. And you do not take the defaced condition.
Okay. Go ahead and roll with presence, please. Hold on a second. Wait, before I do that. Conditions. Ooh. Because of the time shifting, I'm going to say deja vu is going to cause disadvantage, unless you can parlay a way to get around it.
I like it.
Okay.
It should. 5, 5, and a 2. So that is a 7 plus my presence, I think is actually a 2 as well. So I think a 9.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Talking to the sailor. All right. So, second unseen prompt. Describe Act 1, Sarah, in which the baker's son, a young man named Daniel, falls in love with a woman, Dahlia, who he cannot have.
The first opening scene is the baker's son, Daniel, rolling, kneading, occasionally tossing flour. It's very much an actor pretending to make bread. And we just see a repeat loop of this beautiful young woman in a perfectly coiffed outfit, burgundy and crimson, matches the rouge on her cheeks, comes in and doesn't make eye contact, just buys a loaf of bread. And then the second time around, she's wearing a completely different outfit as she walks around the stage and back through again. And slowly she smiles at him. And the next minute, the next turn, she says, "Thank you." And we just see him overwhelmed with feelings that are unrequited that she should deign. This smallest of kindness has opened his heart completely.
Sir Atticus, I think you're able to be, with the beast's help and the beast's influence, I think you're able to be as stealthy as a shadow, even as you move with your weapons in hand. And as you near the office, you see the light underneath the door, perhaps cast by a lamp, and you hear sounds from within as it seems like somebody is shifting things in the office, perhaps papers, looking through shelving, and you hear muttering. Where the devil is it? What? It's supposed to be here. The door is closed. What do you do?
I kick the door open. I introduce myself to this person who is trying to be stealthy, quiet, in the dark, hopefully throwing them off balance so that I can have the advantage in the situation.
You see the angular features of a Wellington-Hughes, very similar to your own, looking at you, and a measured look from their piercing gray eyes.
No.
As you look upon their close-cropped brown hair. And this person looks up at you with those eyes that you remember perhaps so well. Says, Atticus, what are you doing here?
I drop the weapons, Loren.
Yes.
My sister's alive. My sister's alive and not in a nunnery.
Basically she's dressed all in black, what looks like to you, hunter's garb, but would essentially be a uniform to anybody else. And she's got some kind of device on her arm that she keeps on kind of snatching glances at. I don't have time for this, Atticus. I need to get some, I need to find something that's supposed to be here, unless they took it away because of that accident on the whippet.
Oh, you're here for the business with the Greenwich thing, then?
Yes.
Capital, magnificent.
No, not capital at all. You are a day too early.
What?
Actually, 3 days too early. And she shows you the device on her wrist. And if you remember your vision from the fragrant void, it's the chronometer going backwards. You are here too early.
Perhaps if my sister had deigned to visit, perhaps leave a note saying that I should be at a certain place at a certain time.
I don't recall you giving me much correspondence either, brother.
Honestly, that takes me a bit aback. I didn't know she was alive until about maybe 2 hours ago.
Do you say that out loud?
No. I think Atticus has enough social graces to not say, "Oh, well, I thought you were dead." He clams up, though. He'll holster his weapons. So what is it that you are looking for?
There are supposed to be notes. This professor, he had cataloged something from the whippet that was found, and we need to make sure that those notes are not found.
By the police. I would be happy to disappear them so that they aren't exposed to the public.
It looks like they've been taken already, even before the police even got to this. Oh, come with me. And then she will, literally come away from around the desk, and then she's going to grab you. And then you notice on her other hand, like, she has the only thing that you recognize from when you saw her last are her well-worn calfskin gloves.
You kept them.
What?
The gloves. I didn't think you'd keep them this long.
What? They're useful. They're comfortable. Why wouldn't I? You're getting way. I don't know what happened to you. Maybe you're getting a knock on the head, but you are being way too sentimental. Let's go. And she literally grabs your collar and then pulls you out of the office.
Yeah, no, let her lead the way. If the notes that I'm looking for aren't here, then following her is probably the best lead at this point.
Right. Dame Georgie. You find yourself in the alleyway. You left the lamp posts a long time ago. It is very dark. Maybe the only light comes from the haze of the stars. Possibly moonlight diffused. Maybe a lamp or two from some tenement above. And you find yourself in this alleyway, and a smell starts to assail your nostrils. What is a smell that Dame Georgie finds incredibly enticing in this moment?
My first instinct is to say blood.
But it's special blood, though. It smells very specific. What does it smell like, Georgie?
It smells fresh. Sort of the scent of soft pressed paper, a warm summer breeze, a little bit of violets.
I think I'm going to put a veil on this just a slight bit. But I think as you approach the end of this alleyway, you hear specific moans. You're not sure just yet whether they are of pleasure or pain, but you smell this scent of blood, and you realize it's very familiar to you. Someone that you remember from the past. You catch a glimpse of long blonde curls, a rosy cheek, and a decently fashionable gown that looks like it's torn in a few places. And this person seems to be engaged with someone larger, a shadow, something. You can't quite tell, because that scent of this person familiar to you is just assailing your senses. What do you do? And keep in mind that I think dark desires is starting to overcome you.
This is.
If you'd like to take a die roll to see how you react, I'm happy to let you do so.
I think, for starters, Dame Georgie takes off his shoes. They are low heels, just to conform to the performance, and he's gonna just throw one of them at Kai. He doesn't want to approach, like he's throwing it like from the shadows, like trying to like keep out of sight.
I'd say I'm going to ask you for a night move on this one again. This time it's with vitality, because you are doing something physical, to see if it will hit and how hard.
It will be. I'm afraid that it will be sort of a useless. Just throw. This hulk of a figure won't pay attention to me, or even if I do attract the attention, it'll be both of them.
The way it's worse is that I think you're going to find out. Well, I think you're just going to find out something that you hoped you wouldn't find out. Dark desires will not interfere with this, because again, you're just doing this out of pure reaction.
That is a 6.
What is the one thing that you hoped to never know about Lady Abigail Douglas Waits?
How she felt about me. Whether or not she remembered me after all these years. I never wanted to know that. Whether for good or for ill. My memory of myself from my childhood shouldn't be remembered by anyone.
I think when the shoe is thrown, you get both their attention. It is Lady Abigail who sees you first and looks surprised, puzzled, and then with a flare of recognition starts to laugh. And only you know how that laugh sounds, because the bulk that was against her in the darkness turns to you and is actually the towering figure of the huntsman. Oh, we find ourselves here. We of the couples, we of the romance, we of possible betrayal. How does it feel to see this, see her, see us? And this is when he will reach behind him, where against the wall he had his great axe ready to go. and he will come after you, and with a mighty swipe, cleave you in two. Unless you want to use a mask.
I'll use a mask.
All right, Miss Kanaan.
I have a proposition idea,
Yes.
and you can tell me if you could say no. That's fine.
Okay.
But before we get into the scene, I would like to try and answer the second question to Mean Times Greenwich.
Really? With how many clues do we have left?
Just two.
Oh wow.
But
Okay. Even better.
my idea is that these entities have taken on two of the three forms of James Allardyce. And the third is the real James, but it is the middle James, the adult James,
Mhm.
not the elderly or child one.
Okay.
So we have the clues of constantly shifting family portrait of James Allardyce and a metal orrery that spins in slow chaotic orbits. My
Ooh.
idea is that in these orbits, it matches up with the fluctuating portrait of James. And in that chaos, there is a moment of stability when the planets align on the orrery
Mhm.
that shows a stable portrait of James and his adult form. And it holds that for probably a little bit longer than it does any other image, before it's like spinning back out of control and making the portrait fluctuate again.
Okay. All right. So, all right, I'll accept, going for it for sure. I mean, like, you use two clues. Straight die roll though.
I know.
2d6.
Well, first of all, is everyone okay with me doing this, or?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Okay. Ooh, that's an 11.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. You are correct. Hold on. 11 on ATQ. All right. So, knowing that is the correct person, let's see. Help the present James Allardyce remain in this time, and the others move on before all are consumed by the paradox.
Yeah, and my thought is that the entities took on these other forms of James. They don't have an understanding of time, but because he was sort of like an anchor or like a point of reference for them, they just sort of took part of him, like his DNA or something, and then just sort of aged up or aged down.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair. Ooh. And like now you got to figure out how to get him to remain and get the other two out somehow.
Well, I'm hoping to lure with this box and this song. I want to lure the two imposters to me.
You rolled an 11 on it already, I think. For I guess. You know what? No, let's 11 for being able to do this, I think. And then let's do another roll. Yeah, let's do a night move on this one again. Just because it's like you could be drawing other things to you by doing this as well. Just saying. So again, with sensitivity, please. What are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve? Oop, you're mute.
I'm afraid that these entities are going to try and copy me as a means to stealth around London.
Yeah. I think it's going to be even worse than that. I think they're going to, again, because they have no real understanding of time, one is going to age down and the other one is going to age up. You're going to be facing your elderly self, if you could. And then same with your childlike self.
That is an 8 total.
8. All right. Let me go over to Ernest. Deal with that. All right. Ernest, yeah, you've seen Miss Kanaan like open up this box and make the discordant tune happen. I'm gonna say because of your 9, you're able to stay. You avoid discovery. However, I think you fall under the sway of this discordant tune, whether it's because of your unseen condition that's somehow vibrating with your molecules in a strange way, or if it's because of mean times just affecting you all, and you still have deja vu, you know, thrumming through, um, especially here, especially on the Whippet. Um, I think it's affecting you. What kind of vision are you getting listening to this very discordant tune, this melody?
I think I'm whispering that the sailor should go. Maybe he should go back inside. And then the tune just catches my ear, and I'm
Mhm.
drawn to it, much in the same way that Miss Kanaan intends, but that I feel compelled. And I like to think that my deja vu is impacting the tune itself. So essentially skipping forward, backward, and repeating remixes it as I'm starting to like move with more in like with the sailors themselves.
Yeah, I think that you're starting to see more of yourself. You're starting to become visible in the same time and space that they are.
Oh, the visual of just being able to see my hand in a different time in which I was not invisible, but it's just only my hand, or different parts of me are.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, excellent.
Yep. So you are seeing yourself. Oof. The simplest way I can put that is like seeing yourself in pieces, but I mean, that's not quite what I mean. Damn it. I will figure this out. All right.
Am I hallucinating is the question that we don't know the answer to.
We don't know the answer to just yet. All right, Jack. Describe Act 2, in which Daniel impotently fights back against the forces that prevent him from being with Dahlia.
So Dahlia in the first act made her rounds, and she was pleasant. They had, pleasant conversation, but it wasn't a very deep conversation. However, for the baker's son, he became infatuated. His eyes were light with this infatuation that he had on Dahlia. And so we see him in the second act. He's rubbing his hands on his apron with the frayed edges showing and covered in flour, and he's pacing back and forth. He's nervous because this is the day or the time that Dahlia comes to make her rounds and comes to pick up bread for her family. But this time she enters wearing a yellow dress, and she's not alone. She's with a man, a very handsome man, big bushy mustache, slick back hair. And the two of them are clearly very in love with each other. And there's moments where Daniel goes to approach Dahlia in an attempt to talk to her, but this man steps in and asks him, well, how are you doing, good sir? This bread is quite wonderful. My wife here has spoken very highly of you. And Daniel is crushed. And there's a moment where Dahlia and her husband break away so that Dahlia can make the purchase. And he grabs her wrist when she puts down the money and says, it's not good enough for you. I can be the one for you. I can provide for you. And she tries to wrench her hand back, but his grip is almost too firm until finally the husband sees this and pulls her back, and the two of them, shocked and stunned by this act of brazenness, make their way out of the bakery without even picking up the bread.
Atticus, I think Loren brings you out of the lab and says, all right, so if it's not here and the police weren't able to get to it before we were, who else would have been part of this to be able to get these notes or to get evidence of the people that they encountered?
Can't be any of the sailors. A captain of some sort.
I don't think so. I mean, James Allardyce was the only one that was discovered on that ship.
Well, and he's deceased. Wait.
No.
Allardyce is the guy who has the 2 copies. Now that we determined, could it have been Aludus?
Maybe. You said that there's him and 2 copies?
Others, yes. Well, one of them has to be the real one, at least. Figure
Right.
We'll clean it up.
This sounds like... All right. I wasn't going to say anything, but you just have to know that I have been out of the convent for a few years, and I've been working with a particular group that has given me a new lease on life.
And what are the names of these wonderful benefactors, dear sister?
That I can't tell you.
Does it begin with an H?
No, it doesn't begin with an H.
Does
What,
it?
what nonsense is this?
I have been in the country for some time under the aid of particular benefactors who have given me a new lease on life. But they do begin with an H.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I've been helping them catalog certain anomalies like this, and Father didn't appreciate that at all. And I just had to find something else to do. You can't imagine how boring it is to be singing hymns every day, all day, and nothing else.
Yes, it does sound not quite as taxing as what you would want.
No, it wasn't. Anyway, so I've been researching these anomalies for them, and we are after certain fugitives that seem to have slipped the leash. So I need to get on my own hunt for these fugitives and bring them back so they don't mess this. And she hesitates to say it, but she does anyway. This timeline.
I knew it. I knew it was another one of these things. Fantastic.
And she
Right.
finally takes a look at you because I guess like, you're finally in the light, in the haze, like, because it was dim lamplight upstairs. Wait, what happened to you? How did you get you haven't looked like that in 10 years. How did you do that?
Timelines. Caves. I was in America on a hunt, and I walked through a cave. And then I was here.
Oh no. Oh, I don't have time for this. Oh, you weren't supposed to do that for another 5 years. Oh, brother.
Sister. And I will clasp her hands and hold her close. We will deal with them one thing at a time. I know I was early, but perhaps it is a silver lining. We can be on a hunt together again.
I just hope it doesn't turn out badly. That's all. There's
Nonsense.
certain things I've seen and certain outcomes that come from cataloging such things. And I hope... Never mind. Let us go and find this James Aludus, whichever one, and then maybe it'll lead us to the right one. And then we can take care of the other 2, bring them into custody. Yes, let's do that. Mm-hmm.
The hunt is on.
The hunt is on. And I don't know if you have a gesture that you used to do together as siblings for this kind of thing, but I mean, that's the gesture that you do. Like, break, I mean, whatever.
we fist bump. I don't know.
I don't know.
Whatever is period appropriate.
It doesn't really matter because
Atticus
you're
is
like
so
a very
happy he
odd
gets
family.
to go hunting with his sister again.
Right. I mean, it's a very odd thing anyway. You guys are an odd family, so whatever.
I imagine the clenching of hands and you just pressing your foreheads together before you break.
That's cool. That's cool. Or like headbutting each other because it's what siblings do. I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh man,
sounds about right.
sounds about right. Okay, so Dame Georgie, you are using a mask. So
Yep.
what had just happened didn't happen, but you do come upon them, and you throw the shoe, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say that the shoe hits the person that is, looming over, whom you recognize as Lady Abigail. This person turns around very slowly, and the figure of Lady Abigail, like, her eyes widen, and she slumps down against the wall. And this person turns around and looks at you over their shoulder first. And then you see the shiny, like, slime of their greasy, oily hair, and maybe their slender nose and their sly eye as they look at you. And you see that they're wearing some sort of leather apron. And in their other hand that you didn't see, they have a large knife dragging on the ground, making that metallic groan and grind. And he says, "Ah, looky here, another bird to throw into my pot. Would you like to know the name of the one who will cut you down, little bird? I am Opet. I am so glad to meet you."
Is that other little bird dead?
And he just has this sly grin across his face. Maybe so, maybe no. It depends on when I get my little prize. And he kind of shakes his other hand rather meaningfully as he drags the tip of his big knife on the ground as he makes his way towards you. What do you do, Dame Georgie?
Well, for starters, I'm gonna pull out one of my guns.
Okay. Night move. I mean, what do you think will happen if you fail, lose your nerve?
Oh, it's gonna be a mess. It's not gonna be like an easy fight. And it still may end up with me dying, but not with me dying as a human being in my right mind, but rather as a monster. Trying to tear at Obert to death.
I think, yes, I think that's the smell of your own blood as he slices you open will drive you mad with dark desires, and you may just drink more than your fill, thus sealing the deal with desire and welcoming the darkness. Please roll with, oh boy, vitality.
Okay, I'm going to spend one of my PQ items, the gun in question. So,
Mhm.
oh, that is fantastic. That is a 13.
Oh my, you tell me exactly how you take care of Obert Figg, the first of the figs to go down.
It's unglamorous. You never bring a knife to a gunfight. Because, well, a gun goes off before the knife can be swung down or even get close enough. And Obert is dead on the ground. I think as the scene continues, I go over to the lady that's on the ground as well, seeing if she is truly dead.
You have narrative control. You tell me.
I don't think she's dead, not quite yet. She's unconscious. But
And is it Lady Abigail? That's the other question I have for you.
I think it is. I think this was just an unfortunate desire because, well, what's popular right now, at least, is to slum it up for the rich folk who like to come down to poor folks to just gawk at them. You don't leave the public mainways, especially at night. But it's not too hard to just pick her up in my arms. Yeah. Carry her away, call down a cab, and then send her off to home.
But the smell, that blood, he cut her. Dame Georgie, that smell. It's not only in your nostrils, but it's in your brain, reminding you of the past. She's so sweet there in your arms.
And I can't have her. I can't. She does not know me, not like this. She wouldn't recognize me.
I think you hear the blood pumping. You are so close to her neck, where he cut. Even if you ignore the smell, there's that sound.
Do I need to make another night move?
I would say so, yes. And this is definitely a disadvantage because of dark desires.
Okay. I'm afraid that I'm going to kill her.
Or much worse, you'll make her, well,
Like me.
like you, and possibly make her vulnerable to the Queen of Hearts.
I don't want that. That is a 5.
What'd I tell you about warming up those dice?
I did, and it rolled well then. It's not rolling well now.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Okay. All right. Coming back to you. All right. Okay. So, Liat, you rolled an 8, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You see, and we think you get to the room. I mean, or would you say you're doing this in the room or you're doing this on the deck?
I'm doing this in the room because that
Okay.
was where they contacted him.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think because it's so timey-wimey, I think the whole room does some sort of shift, like where you see it time lapsing in all sorts of different orders, and then you will start to see the James Allardyce of the present, the young 20-something James Allardyce, like in the room and what he's doing as all this confusing stuff is happening. And then you'll start to see forms shifting back into the room as if they're being pulled in. And one is the back of the old elderly James Allardyce, and the other one is of a young man, like probably around like 12 or 13, that looks like they're both fighting against this. Like the vibration of the discordant tune is in the air, and it's causing this like vacuum shift.
Once they materialize, she'll stop.
Okay.
And she'll be there to greet them. Oh, my. What have you two been up to?
Oh, what? Why are we back here? What? And then the other one, the younger one, will go, we weren't supposed to be back here at all. We're supposed to be living our lives. and hiding out. But
Oh, come.
Oh.
Act is very boring to me. You know who you are. You know what you are. And you know what's after you.
they both turn to face you very slowly. And they straighten up, like after they look like confused, they play act being confused. And then they're going to look at you straight in the eyes. So, what of it? What are you going to do? Turn us
not-
in?
Well, no, in fact, I wanted to make a wager with the two of you. I know what it's like to be hunted by powerful forces, things that don't understand you, and I'm sure that whatever so-called crime you committed and traversed the multiverse for, well, it was noble. But that thing is coming for you, both of you, that will not stop until it gets you. So I propose sanctuary.
What kind of sanctuary? I mean, we've been trying to just live out some time here. And, well, pretend to be other people.
But you're not people. And you never will be. So why posture? Why pose? Why not live free as yourselves?
Because we don't look like everyone else on this rock. I mean, this is barely barbaric.
Well, aesthetics aside, I find, what do you look like, if I might ask?
They look at each other, and then they'll do like some sort of like hand wave on their wrist, and you get a quick motion where like the time shifting is still happening around you regardless. And you'll see this small time shift of like where their James Allardyce guises will slide away for maybe about like, like 10 seconds. And then you'll see, tell me what you do see. Are they corporeal or
I
are
don't think
they?
they are. I think they are sort of, they almost they look like like a living humanoid shape of Borealis. Like,
Mhm.
it's like this iridescent color of space that sort of forms a shape of a humanoid, but it's contained. If they weren't this shape, they'd sort of just be drifting and expanding.
And then like the forms shift back, and then they look at you and shrug and say, you can see why we needed to disguise ourselves, yes? I mean, you have some of this light in you, but you seem to like wearing that skin. Eh. So
I mean, it's quite blemishless skin, isn't it? So
they
I have a
both nod
proposition
and
for you. Yes, of course, I know. Proposition for you. I give you sanctuary, and you tell me how to drive out this anomaly.
they look at each other again. Where would this sanctuary be?
She points down to her box.
Interesting proposal. We drop these meat suits and then we live where we have some form, but we don't have to be necessarily, like conforming. Yes? Yeah.
Exactly. And the song contained in this, it's a frequency that only you understand and can appreciate, not these mortals. They're animals. They can't appreciate something as complex and intricate as this.
They both nod, and you can sort of see their forms shift and break again, as you can see this borealis type of essence, like like look like they're nodding at each other. It's quite fun. They look like they're about to agree. So, but you still got a 9. And the roll on the ATQ was a 7. I'm going to make this a little interesting when I finish with Ernest. Ernest, so you are caught up in this vision of yours, listening to the discordant tune, having talked to the sailor, okay, and telling them where to go. Do you follow the tune? Do you think you get to the scene where Liat is making this deal?
I do. I feel like the sailor kind of like went inside and took a turn, but
Mhm.
I'm still compelled forward towards the sound of this music box
Mhm.
and would love to invisibly enter the scene right about the time that I see just a flash of light and then their forms snapping back together.
Right.
That way I could have heard the only, what was it? Well, something to the extent of only people who could understand the intricacies of this tune could be smart enough to perceive it. At that, I think that I'm just mesmerized and caught up in this own little timey-wimey swirl. As a creative person, I think that this is the best form of a Victorian acid trip I've had in a long while. And I might forget myself a bit, and that I might invisibly be gesturing in such a way of like knowing that I'm going to skip forward in time this direction. And then all Liat would be able to see is just a gun floating around and twirling in the room.
Oh, this is so damn tempting. But I'm gonna say we're gonna take a 5-minute break because I do need a bio break. Okay, so we're back, and I just we're just having like a discussion over like just making sure that this is an edgy game, but not an edgelord game, because I mean, if ever I am pushing too close to the lines and veils, I mean, please, 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 X card, and I am happy to like pause, rewind, and redo. I mean, that is not a problem. Okay, so if ever it seems like not comfortable with this, not cool with this, and things change, please let me know. All right. So, oh boy. All right. Fourth and last, unseen prompt. Chaotic. Described Act 3, in which Daniel engages in a desperate action to get what he wants. The final moment, just before the curtain falls, should be very bloody.
I think this husband, he starts making plans for him. He starts scheming, like following them around, trying to watch where they take their strolls, where they like to walk alone at night. So maybe he can catch them unawares, so he can finally take this guy out and get the love of his life. Unfortunately for him, that is not very romantic types of ways of trying to get your beloved, killing her husband right in front of her. The gore just splatters against her dress. She's screaming in terror at this monster in front of her, and he says, "I love you so much. I did this all for you." And he tries to sweep her off her feet, but she rejects, and she falls down and she's just screaming, "You're a murderer. You're a monster. I'd rather be dead than to be with you." And at that moment, the curtain falls and there's a scream.
We're going to do this all out of order because it is mean times at Greenwich. So, Liat, I think as the two, you don't know what they are or where they come from, but you offer these these forms, refuge and sanctuary in your box, in your music box. I think you catch a glimpse of something wavering in your peripheral vision, and you see the dancing gun.
She raises an eyebrow, looks in its direction, but keeps the box lid open, sort of anticipating their arrival, their entry.
And they do. I mean, they will let the time shift kind of just take over, and then they will like shift out of those forms. They don't necessarily fall away. They just kind of like dissipate into the time ether. And then you see the twinkling borealises like, start to like move quickly and slowly at the same time into your music box. But I think because of Ernest's role, yeah, I think he's so into it that he trips the light fantastic. Sorry. And the gun goes off. As they make their way into the box closes, the gun goes off, and the box goes skittering across the room.
She will stand up and angrily call out, Ernest.
Are you here and now or again?
She points in the direction of the box and says, Ernest, you fool, pick that up.
I think the box.
And you hear the awing happenings around.
Yeah.
Like you're pacing around the room.
Yeah, I think as you're ordering Ernest to do to pick up the box, I think the camera pans over to the box as it's laying on the floor by the door. And a sweep of a dress comes into view as long tapered fingers wearing black and red pick up the box, rising as the box is lifted into the air, and the camera goes full into the darkened features of a woman dressed in black and red with a bloody ring at her neck.
I will take my box back.
Oh, is this yours? Oh, it is quite lovely. Just like you, Miss Kanaan, yes?
Yes.
Ah, wonderful. Ah, I forgot. I think there's a friend here that wanted to come and see you. She is having such a wonderful time playing in my land. And she will draw back supernaturally, like where she seems to fade into the darkness of the door a little bit. And in comes a figure with flaxen hair, an alabaster complexion, and stone gray eyes that look at you very calmly, very measured, wearing what looks like, I'm going to say like a gossamer type gown, and looking very stately with a very like simple diadem on her head. Hello, Liat. Is that what you're going by these days still?
Yes. And when she says that, she doesn't even look at this woman. She glanced at her, but realizing what this is, she steps up towards this figure clad in red and black. Child, you do not know who you are messing with. Now, the box.
Oh.
Can Ernest stage whisper like too loud? Who is that?
I think both the flaxen-haired woman and the woman in black and red smile. The one in black and red smiles a very pointy smile in your direction, Ernest. I see you. And then
Ernest
she kind of
just
blows
holds
a
an
kiss.
invisible hand over a section of his bits and pieces and then does a very theatrical bow.
And she smiles quite fetchingly at you, like towards you. And the woman in black and red, Liat, will say to you, as Guinevere is in front of her, also smiling, she'll say, "You should not have allowed such a powerful weapon to reach me. I will give them a future where they will dream and dream of me." And she will supernaturally like fade and hover backwards until she's over the stern of the boat and look like she's floating above the water. And then she will dissipate in a burst of
Is
blood.
Guinevere still there?
Yes, she still calmly looking at you. I have found a new mistress to give counsel.
She stiffens up, taking in those words, and takes a deep breath. You aren't real. You're dead. Go back to whatever realm you came from, whatever figment of imagination you poured out of. Unvex me, though.
Whatever shade I am, I still care in that pocket of my place where I am, where I live. I do not forget you, Liat. And as she turns, you see her kind of shifting as if she's part of the haze that has crept up onto the boat. And the time shifting seems to have slowed, where the sailors are moving sluggishly, but they're moving more normally now. And she fades from sight, not in a blood burst, but again, just in a smoky haze. drifting.
Ernest,
Yes. Yes. I'm feeling much better now. I'm so sorry. I didn't even have my finger on the trigger. I have no idea how that happened.
you saw none of this. Am I correct?
Forgive me. I do wish to please, but are you implying I saw none of this and I shan't speak of it again? Or you don't
Yes.
want me to speak of it to you again? Is it small?
Both.
Can I ask just one question? And then I'll never raise it again, I promise.
She
My
doesn't say
hand-
anything, but it's like open, like she's leaving the space open to ask.
How is it? How is it possible? How is it that you came to be in this place in London?
I've been here before, and I'm sure I will be here again. But in the meantime, that information is mine to know, and yours to find out. No, fetch us a car. Or, I'm sorry, carriage.
I think that you'll just feel Ernest's invisible hand on your shoulder, and he whispers in your ear, I shan't speak of it again. But know that I do know. I have to find pants before I can find a carriage.
She puts her hand on top of yours and says, you have earned this touch. Should you do this again, though, unprovoked, you will pay for it. Do we have an understanding?
I only touch those who wish to be touched. Forgive me. Again, I do need pants. I'll have to go find one of the sailors.
Yeah, and I think as Ernest starts to look around for clothing, there is a moment where she realizes that there's this like sliver of vulnerability and that Ernest might be more perceptive than she thinks.
Writers, man, you gotta watch out.
I don't know. Especially invisible ones.
And I think as this is happening, well, I should say, just as Queen of Hearts bursts into like blood droplets, I think that this is when you, Atticus, and your sister come upon the whippet, and the haze seems to clear around the same time for you to be able to witness this sight of this woman disappearing into a blood cloud off the stern of the boat.
I don't think Atticus has actually seen. Wait, no. Yes, once at the party. That
True.
was Atticus
Finn,
did. Yeah, Atticus did see the queen there. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But I think you were too busy, like, railing at Finn for leaving the Italian, well,
To die. Yes.
to die.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think Atticus is just kind of confused that there's this lady that's floating over the water and disappearing, and Liat's just kind of standing there.
And this is where your sister will, like, you hear her swear. Even worse than even worse than your father has ever sweared in his life. And she's looking down at that chronometer of hers as it's shifting back into going into present time and now shifting forward. What the? And then Oh, no, they're gone.
What with her with the
I don't know. It was going and it was fine, and I was tracking them, and now it's.
Liat? Who was that?
I am going to be in so much trouble. Oh. Ugh.
It was a nuisance, one that I'm sure will rear its tacky head again.
Can you tell me where they went? I mean, what was that?
You're not supposed to be here.
Atticus is gonna put himself between Liat and his sister.
What? Atticus, who are these people?
Yes, Atticus, who are we? And more importantly, who is she?
You know damn well who this is. And as for who they, I guess in the background I see a floating pair of pants. Ah,
Yes, and say there's hat.
No shirt, though, right? Just
they are fellow members of that organization I hinted at, members of Hargrave House.
This is what you've aligned yourself with?
I had previous compatriots who were more dependable.
If I get out of my current fix, then I will be back, and we will need to have a talk and get this all sorted out. Perhaps it'll be time to reevaluate your priorities, and mine, of course.
I'm still going after the beast, Loretta.
And she gets this upset look on her face. It's not over. This
No.
isn't over.
It is not.
Curse the third.
Curse the third.
I need to take care of this. And I am sorry I'm leaving you in a mess. I'll be back as soon as I can, provided I'm not torn apart myself, figuratively, hopefully.
or literally.
Yeah, she just gets this look on her face like, I'm not talking to you. And I will hopefully see you soon, Atticus.
I will look forward to your correspondence, my dearest sister.
If you want to do an ironic like sibling pat, that's fine too. I mean, like, I'm perfectly happy with that. And then she
Yep.
goes. Yep.
She has to speed off into the night to deal with whatever trouble is following her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's kind of in the soup at this point. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Meantimes is now a servant. So that can no longer be resolved.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that was what was happening. Yeah.
Oh, the deja vu just stays happening now.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh no.
So it's gonna be fun. No worries. It'll be great.
I like to think that Ernest just had his hand extended for that whole scene and then realized nobody could acknowledge it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think after all is said and done, his sister leaves, Atticus will shake Ernest's hand.
God damn it.
Atticus isn't gonna leave him hanging. Are you
But you
kidding
can't
me?
tell I'm hanging.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
because I
literally
think
wearing no shirt.
Oh,
right.
Ah,
Yeah,
never
no makeup,
mind.
no shirt, so you can't tell. And like
Not
no
even
gloves
a pair
either.
of like
No.
floating gloves. All
No.
right, yeah, never mind. Atticus just breezes on by, I guess.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like,
as a bro, I appreciate it, but
I mean, you see the floating the floating hat and then the pants. I mean, yeah. So
Not
and
the best first impression.
it is what it is. Let's go to Dawn. Yeah.
Hold on there.
Yeah.
I still have a role to be resolved.
Which was the
My failure on
Oh, yeah.
not fighting.
Yep. Yeah. So this would make a great epilogue for this particular night. So what happens on this failure, or do you want me to say what happens?
You have narrative control because it is a failure. If I have to spend a mask for her to not die, I will do so, but I'm fine with her becoming a vampire. Since that was... Oh no! I'm frozen.
Yes, you're frozen. Oh no.
the oh no was actually perfectly timed
Yeah,
with
it's
the
perfect,
image
yeah.
of
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Frozen in suspense.
Oh my god.
Now, this is going to be a variation on your, not a condition, that move, since you didn't necessarily involve your vice. I think as you're holding her and consumed by the smell and sight and sound of her blood pumping, you realize that the beat is slowing down. You have a choice. Do you choose, in this heat and sound and smell of the moment, do you choose to drink of her blood to keep her blood pumping and to keep that smell alive? In this miss, I think you do. You fall into it. You are drinking her in and also fulfilling her in a way that no one else can at this moment, to keep her life going. An unlife that it is. Her flesh blooms with a little bit of color, but not as much as before. Perhaps she coughs, perhaps she endures some spasms that rack her with some pain, but you can tell that this is part of what is keeping her in this unlife. And her eyes look at you. What do you see there? as she becomes like you.
I think in this early stage, her irises are turning into a very bright shade of red. Pupils are just so thinly focused on me. And I think just out of instinct, just out of fear, I just put my hands over her eyes and I just hold her.
I think she will start to cry. So cold. So cold. Why am I cold? Do you want that to keep going, or did you want to use a mask?
I will keep that going.
I think Dawn receives you like that. It is exceptionally bright for the two of you. It does not burn, but you feel like you cannot see because the light makes everything else so dark. And we go into dawn, literal dawn phase. All right.
Mads, can I
Yes.
do my masks I owe you before we go to dawn?
Absolutely.
Or would you like after?
It's part of dawn.
Yeah, part of dawn. So
Okay.
you can go ahead and enter that in. Sure. Can't wait to hear them too. So, all right, dawn questions. Let's go to the explorer. Oh boy. Hunter's answered a question. Hell yeah. Resolve a threat. No.
No.
Did
We
you
tried.
experience? I know. Okay. Did you experience an echo in the night?
I did actually, with my final prompt of murdering the man.
Yeah. Did you have a face-to-face encounter with the mastermind?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
Other
Sorry.
people did.
I know. Like, meant it the other way around, but sorry. Okay. And did you engage in a secret sexual rendezvous with a commoner?
No.
Not yet. Have you fed your dark desires?
Yeah.
Take those points. Go ahead and fill your XP track, and then change up your elective dawn questions if you so choose. All right, Miss Kanaan answered a question, did not resolve a threat. Experience an echo in the night. I think I heard it. Pretty sure.
Yeah, the frayed edges.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Did you create an ornate over-the-top erotic experience for someone else's pleasure?
I mean, maybe those aliens thought that whole box thing was an erotic experience.
Turning into dust? Come on. Super
Yeah, I mean,
hot.
like they were lured by that music.
Oh, that's,
I
you know,
assume
and then
it turned them
carried away
on.
by the vampire lady.
Oh my God. Holy shit. I mean, that's by a thin thread. I'm just kind of like, hey.
It's up to you, but I think they enjoyed it.
No, they will enjoy themselves. I will say, like, you know, those timey-wimey light people will probably enjoy themselves. Oh boy. To the detriment of everybody else, of course.
Oh.
I'll let you decide if you really want to take it.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Did you let someone touch you and make them pay a price?
Yes, the priest from
Yes.
Kilburn Abbey.
Yes. the great Abbot Claudius. Yes. Go ahead and take those points and then clear put them on your XP track, and then change your elective dawn questions if you so choose. Sir Atticus, answer a question. Did not resolve a threat. Experience an echo in the night?
Nope.
Oh, so sorry.
I have so many advancements compared to everyone else. I'm good to chill for a minute.
Okay. Did you taste someone or something else's blood, sweat, or other bodily fluids?
Not tonight.
No, because I mean, again, this is covering the whole cycle. So when you were in the fragrant void, you did the Borgor.
I thought I already counted that though.
I don't think, no, we didn't,
because we had vulnerable scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, like this, we only do the dawn questions at dawn.
Oh, well,
So we didn't have dawn.
Well, then
like,
yeah, I
then
did.
yes. Okay. I thought you did it specifically for that reason, man. All right.
I did.
Okay. Did you revel in the thrill of the hunt?
I was happy to finally throw down with something like
Yes.
unobjectively, without question, this
Sure.
thing needs to die.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. All right, so take those points, like put them on your XP track, and then clear and change your elective dawn questions if you want. And Ernest answered a question, did not resolve a threat. Did you experience a knock on the night? I think I heard it.
There were a couple. I think that the firmest one outside of my mask was the looping of the repetitive
Yes.
first act.
Sure. Okay. Did you dress or act in a theatrical manner in order to draw attention to yourself?
I mean, dancing gun.
Yeah. Dancing gun, take it.
Thank you.
Did you deliver a soul-searching monologue on the importance of appearances?
I did not.
Hopefully next time, or change them up. I mean, whatever you'd like. So take your points and then go ahead and change your dawn questions if you so choose. And now, dawn. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, no quickening, and Atticus has already taken his cosmic passage roll, so that's fine. And then Janice masks. So I believe that Dame Georgie has 1, and of course Ernest has 3. So
I think we all have one, right? Because of the mask of the clock.
Wait.
I
Wait,
thought
3?
I thought some of you did them.
Did we?
Hold on. Let me check. Oh God.
So long
Pivotal-
list of
So many
homework.
games.
I only caught 2.
Yeah, pivotal moment. Yeah.
We did narrate that last time?
I at
I'm
least
looking,
remember
I'm looking.
Atticus narrating his. I think we
Okay,
all did.
Liat did not, and Ernest did not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Dame Georgie and Sir Atticus did theirs. So Ernest, you had a mask in the past, I believe, from last time, from the time
Right.
you last played. And then
The pivotal moment.
Yeah, and then we had the mask of the clock because of Atticus taking that for the raising of the roll. And then there was another mask of the past. Hold on. Yeah. So like you needed to take a mask of the past to help upgrade the roll, and then the mask of the clock was for everybody.
Okay.
Because
Well, I've got for sure 2.
that's fine.
Maybe I can work a third one in there.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, like, we can pass it off for next time. That's fine too. No. Okay, great. Okay, so whatever you've got right now, that's perfectly fine. And just let us know about the prompt first, and then go ahead and narrate.
Yep. So I am to narrate a pivotal moment in which I could regret, or how might I do it differently, right? And then also I'm to narrate a mask of the past of a time in which I received a standing ovation. So the previous end of day phase, when Ernest was brooding in the balcony of the Grand Guignol, he himself was thinking back, watching this terrible staging of The Baker's Son, and the rehearsals were just going abysmally. And he starts recalling back a time when he set this play upon this very stage. And I mean, honestly, he struggled with it. And by the opening night, he is working his actors furiously and screaming obscenities of no, in order to have a genuine sense of fear. If any of you were actors, I might believe your screams and horror, but no, you're not. So line up. I assemble the cast on the stage, and I take away all of the stage knives and props, and I begin to go down the line and hand each of the actors a real blade. We are going to run this again. I must resort to the reality of your own fear, because you obviously do not have the capability of producing it. Now, again, and naturally, the actor playing Daniel gets stabbed when we run the next rehearsals, and then he's hauled off, and I am forced to take the part myself. And the play goes much to the same pattern and script, but is much bloodier. Daniel has a bunch of brothers, they all die. There are definitely sisters, and they all die. And the final conflict in which I confront the husband and I murder him. I actually do kind of stab him a little bit on the shoulder and cut him through the tendon here. But as the crowd is suspended in this tense silence, as the final body drops and the curtain comes down, when the lights come up again and all of the cast that are still standing, for lack of a better word, come out for take our bows, the applause is thunderous, and the audience leaps to their feet as we, covered in some of our own blood and some of our own fake blood, bow, and the curtain goes down again. Oh, and the papers the following day called it Savage's Bloody Brilliance, and Ernest wouldn't change a thing about it.
Ernest is just built different, man.
Oh, holy shit. Okay. Dame Georgie, do you have a mask?
Yes. Narrate to a flashback to when your village suffered an atrocity at the hands of the explorer. How did you help inflict this atrocity? I think back to just moments before it all went downhill. Silk demands had been growing more and more over the years, and by the time I was about turning 18 or so, my new parents, as it were, I thought that I should be one to help solidify the family business in this continent, to actually take me and my people into a new stage of industry and actually build that factory and be in charge of that. It would have gone downhill from there. Lives would have been lost, brutality throughout the streets, just so that most of Europe could have their hands on such finely made silk. But that is not that moment. It is the night before the factory's open. I am getting dressed, and I just can't manage the European style of the bow tie. Can't wear my old family's outfits. They're not proper, they're not business enough. But my mother comes into the room. She has a beautiful dress, European style, heels that click on the floor. And she goes, "Oh dear, let me help you with that." And she ties it for me. I think this is the first time that we see the mother's face, and the truth is revealed. Benbrook-Carter, specifically Georgie Benbrook-Carter. There were two. Jorge Benbrook-Carter and Georgina Benbrook-Carter. Georgie Benbrook-Carter is a trans man, and this is before he had transitioned. And so we see this flashback as Georgina Benbrook-Carter gets her son ready for the factory opening.
Thank you. Okay.
I can leave my mask at the clock.
Okay.
And it's did I do it last time or no?
You did not.
Okay.
Your sound just went a little bit. Whoa.
Oh, sorry. The mic. Yes, so we're back at Hargrave House, and Liat her bedroom is full. There are lovers in the bed, and She's not in the bed though. They're entertaining themselves. They're preoccupied. She is seated by the window, the moon on her skin. She's naked. She's looking out to the sea, or where the sea should be. Obviously, it's harder now in London because of all the buildings that have been erected to obscure the view. But then she hears a voice, and she turns, and if this were the show, we turn with her, and we see that her hair is short, cropped, and she's wearing plate armor. And there's a man scolding her. He's in red velvet vestments. He has a blonde beard, long blonde hair, a crown. And he looks to Liat and says, "How could you do this to me? You know I loved her. You know I cared greatly for her. This betrayal will not go unpunished." And we see off to the side, watching this transpire, this argument between them, we see a woman that we met earlier, blonde, flaxen hair, dressed in velvets, brocades. She's clinging to the shadows, though, keeping out of sight, but making sure that she can hear. And Liat says, "I'm sorry, my lord. I didn't know what else to do. You must understand." And that's when this man, this royal, cuts her off and says, "Leave this place, leave this castle, leave my sight. For the next time I see you, it will be on the battlefield. Go, Lancelot, go." And Liat closes her eyes and begins to make her way out of Camelot.
Okay. I don't know how to come back from this. I mean, anybody want to help me? That's fine. Day phase? Sure. Why not? Crap.
We could
Yes.
take a little 5-minute reset break and then
Sure.
go to the day phase.
Yes. 5 minutes. Refresh beverage. Get my head back on straight. What the hell? Oh,
Whoops.
jeez.
Whoops, we have dropped several bombshells at once.
Yes, it's great. I know it really is great. I'm just, I gotta process.
We
my-
just crop dusted you with backstory.
pretty much. I'm like, whoosh. All right, 5 minutes. So that'll be the 24 mark. All right. See you in 5. And we're back. Okay. So now we are hitting a day phase again. Oh my Lord. Let's see. Day phase. Still have the figs. The rest of the figs out there. Obert has been dispatched, but La Hortensia and Patrick are still about. Need to research what's going on with them. And then the demon still lurks at Kilburn Abbey. But that doesn't stop from other dark work from falling on your doorstep. Because this morning, a young man arrived on your doorstep with his eyes swollen shut and a face covered in fresh, unsightly cuts and bruises. He identifies himself as Bram Fuller, and also, apprehensively, as a member of Bout Club, an underground fighting ring for working-class men. Bram is concerned about a new member of the club, a freakishly strong fighter that the men have taken to calling the Shoreditch Slugger. Since induction to the club several weeks ago, the Slugger has not once lost a bout. He has also left a ghastly trail of broken limbs and even deaths in his wake. 2 days ago, a young railway construction laborer named Phineas Bird died at his hands. The other fighters, not to be outdone, have taken the Slugger's seeming invulnerability as a challenge. In short, the brutality of the fights has greatly escalated since the Slugger's arrival. Bram finds the Slugger's indomitable prowess odd, and though he won't outright admit it, frightening. He's heard that Hargrave House has experience dealing with unusual types and hopes you will see fit to run the slugger out of London, or at least out of Bout Club. You are on the verge of turning Bram away, thinking he has vastly misunderstood what Hargrave House does when he stammers out a detail that makes you certain there is a supernatural threat here after all. From the sound of it, you will need to determine how the slugger came by his superhuman strength, or at the very least find a chink in his proverbial armor in order to take him on and stop this Bout Club business from growing out of control. Gee, I wonder who has the highest vitality. Sir Atticus. What detail does Bram add that convinces you the Shoreditch slugger is siphoning his strength from a supernatural source?
I think he wears it loud and proud. I think he has a mark on his forehead that's similar to like a tattooed circlet. Some people are like, oh, he's part of a gang. No, dude is branded and he owns it.
Wow. All right. Well, due to its highly secretive and illegal nature, Bout Club frequently changes venues. Bram helpfully provides the address of the club's next midnight meeting, a church construction site in Whitechapel.
At a church, really? Okay, church. It's not a church yet. It will be a church, but
just be aware that there is a time limit on this particular threat. You have 3 night phases before somebody pays attention to the slugger's actions.
oh,
So one of your questions, let me just pull this up. All right, sorry. I had it halfway pulled up, and of course tabs. So first question, what is the source of the Shoreditch slugger's superhuman strength? This is a complexity 2. The slugger's power cannot be taken away completely, but the hunters can steal some of it for themselves. Subvert this source for your own use through thievery or ritual and gain access to the custom move Eternal Man. So that's complexity 2. However, if you want to resolve the threat, you have to find out what is the Shoreditch slugger's weakness, complexity 6. Resolve the threat by exploiting this knowledge to destroy him or convince him through defeat or humiliation to retire from Bout Club and into obscurity. All right. So those are your 2 questions and opportunities for solving this particular threat. And again, it has a time limit. Okay. Fun. All right. So given that, day phase. Vulnerable moves, investigations, you guys can decide. We have time for 1 scene, or, like 1 scene per each of you, whatever. Yeah. Our campaign with the slugger was quite different. And then the one that I just recently finished with them, they solved it in a very unique way. So they humiliated him.
yeah. No, the fact that we can have a social victory against the brawny slugger guy, like, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, 3 night phases, which means we have to actually investigate this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should be investigating all of them because, I'm going to ramp up how dangerous the rest of them are if you don't deal with them. So,
Okay.
pressure. This is what it is when 3 threats are on the board. Yay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So take your pick. I will call on each of you and then ask what you'd like to do. I mean, again, if you want to do some vulnerable moves, that's on the table, sure. Or you can investigate, as you will. So Dame Georgie, what would you like to do for day phase? Or at least this beginning of day phase?
I'm definitely open to some vulnerable moves. I feel like from the night phase, I should have gotten a condition because that was pretty dramatic as to what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were pretty dark desires, but I think also I'm gonna say that one of your conditions is guilty.
Yeah. So potentially doing a vulnerable scene. But I think mainly I want to, if no one wants to do a vulnerable scene with me, that is, I want to investigate, I think the demon of Kilburn Abbey, because we could use some more questions on that.
Excuse me. Yes. Okay.
And we haven't been, and I know like Sir Atticus really wants to do the slugger.
I also want to do Figg's Pigs. Honestly, there's a serial killer around. I'd like to stop
I
that.
took out one of them. Like, it's fine.
Refresh my memory. Didn't we answer what kind of animal Patrick was?
No.
Is he a
No.
cat?
Not yet.
Okay, we don't know yet.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. So, Ernest, what would you like to do for day phase, or at least for part of day phase?
Yeah, I think investigating Figg's Pigs is probably what I am going to do. I think that I'm trying to remember where, because we've investigated the basement yet, or no? Like in the actual shop itself, we went through the whole of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was it Dame Georgie that went to the asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yes.
I've been investigating the Figg's Pigs a lot.
I'm trying to remember if there's a third location I'm missing.
Not really. Like, maybe the front of the shop, but that's about it.
Or maybe like the back alleys behind the shop or something.
We
No,
gotta,
I've been around there a
neighborhood?
lot.
gotta knock on doors, ask people what they've seen.
Then I think what it'll end up being is Ernest walking the streets and talking to people for sure, but maybe it's more along the lines of asking when is a new pie shop going to be in play, like trying to just in a social sense ask people if they've seen anything strange, because obviously they're closed and I always used to get my pies there, and I wonder what could have happened, and try to gossip
Sure.
my way through to a couple of clues.
Great. Okay. Liat, where would you like to go or do?
Well, damn. I want to get rid of one of these conditions. So I think because Dame wants to go investigate the demon, and I'd like to clear the demon condition, I will do a vulnerable scene with him.
Okay. I can't wait to see that frame up. All right. And then after, just for say, like after, are you going to go to the Abbey as well?
I don't know yet.
Okay,
I just
that's
want to
fine.
get through the one scene.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
Figure it out.
Okay, Sir Atticus, what would you like to do?
Vulnerable scene to try and at least talk out a potential solution for protege.
Sure.
Also help someone else with the condition.
Yep.
I'm happy to do a vulnerable scene if I pair off with Atticus and I can save Figg's Pigs for later.
Okay.
Well, I also want to do Figg's Pigs because there is a guy who literally thinks he's an animal, and I hunt animals, and
Oh,
he's killed
God.
people. So
God. Oh man. Dang it. Oh, caramba. Okay. Yeah. So whomever wants to frame, remember, you must have one of your vices in play. That person should probably be the one to frame it up. All right.
Sir Atticus, what is your vice?
smoking profusely. I am
Okay.
a walking chimney.
Let's do that.
Okay. Stressful night, just kind of processing things in the smoking room. The entire room is just wall to wall smoke, and I guess are you all natural, and just the only reason I can detect that you're there is because the smoke outlines you?
I'm still just pants and hat.
You know what? Fair enough.
Oh, and pipe, I think.
A pipe? Tell me, Ernest, do you have your own vintage, as it were, or are you adventurous?
With tobacco, you mean?
Well, yes, of course.
Oh, I smoke whatever's available. I stole this from you, actually. It's nice.
That explains where the American stash has been going. Thank you very much. You like it?
It is just, it's so earthy. It's lovely. It's got a sweetness to it. You see just like this puff of smoke from nowhere.
I don't think Atticus is bad. Atticus is actually happy that someone else is indulging and can appreciate it. It is very much an American sort of strain. It has that rustic nature that most Americans that I've met have. A wildness to it.
Yes, well, all the Americans I know are either hopeless critics or, yes, definitely rough around the edges.
Critics, you refer to your time before all this.
Well, I mean, even when I'm not on the stage, one runs into a critical eye anywhere you turn, especially in London. Everyone's always judging you, Atticus. Remember that.
Don't I know it? I don't think Georgie would let me forget it for even a moment. And walking the halls, Liat is always going around like a predator. But you, Ernest, it's strange. There are times where you are quite biting, cutting in terms of your criticism, but I don't know. Do you apply that to everything or just the arts?
It's a fascinating idea. I find that I'm just as equally harsh with myself as I am judging everyone else. So if they are not up to my standards, I do have quite the biting wit. But in truth, well, I think it's best we don't pick it apart. It's just, you need to be able to freely, creatively express oneself in order to find happiness, I've found anyway. And, well, it's not for others to judge.
Tell me, and Atticus will kind of lean close. Were you a self-made man? Were you independent? You and your skills and everything else.
Ernest will, you can see through the smoke, just a hand on the cheek, pipe moving back and forth occasionally. And then it starts gesturing at you as if emphatically making a point. It's not important how you get there. But I was a star. I was admired, respected, feared by my actors. There were several patrons along the way, but I pulled myself up by my own two invisible bootstraps. They weren't invisible at the time, obviously.
No, I picked up at least that bit. I figured this was a rather recent condition, but
I like to spin a tale and offer a colorful suggestion and paint a pretty picture, and unfortunately it does often, well, go awry.
But you chose it. You chose the stage. It was not forced on you. There was other avenues, but that was the one that called to you.
I couldn't imagine another life for myself. I mean, I do often, but more as a creative experiment than wishful thinking. But your question makes me think that perhaps it was your own desires that were overridden to your current urges, needs, hunts. How much of this was your choice?
I think before you like start saying something, I think Rag will come back in, but he's got in his hands your big compendium and go, "This is amazing. It's like all the big pictures and shit. I mean, like you fought all these monsters. Amazing."
Only some of them. Other bits. My sister actually drew a lot of the sketches there.
Are you okay if I look through this?
Yes.
It's really interesting. I can read a little. I mean, chicken scratch and shit, you know?
Yes. And if you have any questions, then I'd be happy to tell you about them after I finish speaking with Sir Marit-Savage.
Oh, sorry, sir. And he will take the book and run back off to, wherever he's staying.
Who was
Atticus
that
pop-
little foul-mouthed shit?
An urchin who stepped a bit too deeply into the pond, as it were.
Well, do you plan to keep him from drowning or hold him under?
That's the question, isn't it? You hit the nail on the head, so to speak, Ernest. I did not choose this, and other avenues were, he'll shrug, pruned from the tree of possibilities.
What a shame. You would have made a marvelous butcher.
Definitely not one of the bits of employ that I would have considered, but gameskeeper, huntsman, that kin, I've heard. But the boy has vigor. The boy has wit. The boy has survived as long as he has on London, and while it's not the Serengeti or the depths of the Amazon, it shows a will to survive. And I do not wish to force him to drown, as it were.
Well, you should have a clear picture in your mind before you go about it, because, frankly, I don't think children, urchins or not, really have a place in Hargrave House.
No, I suppose not. But from the sound of it, at least speaking with my sister and knowing what I do about other organizations, there are other places that would be willing to teach, to train, to raise, to educate. Maybe there's something out there that's better for him.
I think at this point, Ernest has kind of lost focus or interest, perhaps is a better way of putting it. And you'll see the top half of my invisible frame stand, lean forward and grip both arms of your chair. And you can see the lack of me 2 inches from your face. I wish that you could see into my eyes, Sir Atticus, because sometimes, well, it would be nice to have someone else describe what they see in them. You hunt monsters, and there are days I feel like one. But, at this point, you let me have your tobacco, so I think it's all really fine.
What was it that the bard said? My sister was better at books and the like. That one about the merchant.
Yes. Yes.
He has that speech where he talks about if you stab me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? And I think Atticus will put just big meaty hand on your shoulder and say, no matter what, you are still man. You are still human, Ernest. As long as you strive and don't give in to dark desires, you can be the utmost. And I have full confidence in that. Although you could stand to steal at least a little less of my tobacco. I have to import it after all.
Got the scene there and then see about conditions. So what do you think you've released at this point?
Let's try to clear bloody storyteller about how my
Sure.
stories seem to go awry.
Okay. Cool. All right. And then protege, you think you're like, getting to a decision?
I think a decision is made. I don't think I should remove it yet because I need to I need to place this orphan somewhere.
Sure.
Away
Absolutely.
from Hargrave House.
Right. Okay, cool. Like while you're thinking about whether you want to let invite Ernest to ask you a question or stumble upon a clue, let's head over to Liat and Dame Georgie if they're planning on having a vulnerable scene.
Yeah, I'd like to actually use my advice if it's okay.
Okay.
Where are you now?
That's
Well,
a good question.
I think we start at Hargrave House, but I think maybe Dame Georgie's down in the foyer or down in the down in the reception hall or whatever. But I think he would see Liat dressed in a men's waistcoat and I forget what they're called. It's called a day coat, but with fitted slacks and boots and a bearskin top hat with a veil. And she looks like as if she's getting ready to leave and doesn't necessarily notice you at first, but then looks over to you.
Yes.
Nothing. You look like you said you look like you wanted to say something.
Would you listen anyways, or would you just brush me off?
She considers that question and then sort of steps up and looks at you, turns your cheek, looks at the wounds on your neck. Have they started to scar up, or are they still?
I don't think
open?
they will ever quote unquote scar up.
Mm-hmm. And she'll turn your face back to hers. Come with me.
Mm-hmm.
And Abdurrahman will already be at the front door, opening it for them, and there will be a cab waiting out for them. And I imagine, and if it's okay, that there's like a hospital near the Gilbert Abbey, and the cab stops there. The driver lets Liat and Dame Georgie out, and you see that she just sort of walks in, and no one really pays attention to her, but she goes up towards what would be, I guess, referred to as like the tuberculosis ward, and she goes and she sits beside an aging patient, very gaunt. They've got crusted blood around their lips. They're tucked in, but they're barely conscious. But when she enters, she takes off her gloves and she puts her hand to this patient's cheek and sort of brushes back his hair.
I think Dame Georgie is just watching all of this, and like it's just a look of confusion, befuddlement. Like, why would you be here?
Because I won't ever know what this feels like.
Nothing in this world is truly immortal, immune to death.
Perhaps not. Did you consider your immortality when you took whatever gift or bargain you did?
Immortality is the least of my concerns. I don't care if I live till everyone else around me dies, or I don't live to see the next week.
It's very easy to say that now. I think that when the time comes, you will reconsider that position. This man here is an acolyte of mine. He's been most faithful to me past 50 years. Tuberculosis struck him and he's not been able to recover.
Yes. It's unfortunate, but I don't understand why would anyone just dedicate themselves to a single person who, at best, is only looked upon for their beauty.
Everyone needs something to turn to in their darkest hour. I give these people hope. I give them something to look forward to. Those things are rare in this city, especially for men like him.
I have to be honest. There's not much to be hoped for. I've seen a lot of actions done in this world that have caused much in terms of suffering, both in the city, both outside the city, all across the world. It's all the same. And then there's suffering to be had. But at the same time, that's what it means to be alive.
For now, you will inflict even more suffering as the years, the decades, possibly even centuries go by. Do you think you're really prepared to bear that weight?
I've already bared enough weight for a moment. What is asked of me? What is required of me? I've already bared the weight of this empire. I've bared the weight of my family. I've bared the weight of humanity. I'm willing to do anything for that.
Humanity, you haven't bared anything, darling. You've bared the lifetime of a couple of decades. You speak as though you know what waits for you in the centuries to come, the empires that will come and go. You see, I've watched them come and go. You've only read about it. And I can tell you that all the suffering that you think you've caused will compare to nothing. All that suffering you'll cause, you'll feel it tenfold throughout your entire life, or unlife, as it were. So I suggest, if you continue down this route, that you find something to connect to, other than bloodlust. Otherwise, it's going to be a very lonely road for you. And no matter how much anyone says that they're fine with being alone, decades, centuries prove otherwise.
Why do you say you're alone?
I'm not alone. I have you. I have Sir Atticus, I have Ernest, I have my acolytes.
But do you actually have me in return?
My dear, everything is fleeting. I know that I don't have you forever. I know that I don't have these acolytes forever. And when she says that, she brushes the hair of this dying man back. All I have are moments, granules of sand and time, of companionship, compassion, of reverence.
You have that for yourself, but do you have
Do
that
I have?
for others? Do you care about people? Or do you just care about how much they care about you? I'm fine with being hated. I'm fine with being alone. But I have people I love. I have people I care about. And if I lose them, it would be tragic. But I can find others to care about. Because at the end of the day, it's not just me in this world. It's my actions upon it. And I have to take responsibility for some of it.
My dear, keep pouring yourself into others and see where that gets you. And with that, she sort of puts back on her gloves and strokes the man's head one more time. And she leans down and kisses his forehead. Stands up. There's an abbey not too far from here. A demon resides there.
Maybe
It is. Go on.
Maybe you can ask for some forgiveness there for your own stubbornness and hatred. And I think, I just storm out of the room, disgusted by Liat.
She just smirks at that and lets him.
Conditions?
I don't know. I mean, I touched on the demon, but I don't know if I cleared that.
I did recommend that you pray for your sins, so who knows? Maybe that helped out.
I'll say it's up to Mads.
I mean, do you feel that, that you've addressed it enough to be able to say, you're...
I'll keep it for now because I don't think I really addressed it. mentioned it, but I don't think it was ever touched upon.
Okay. And then guilt, Dame Georgie.
I think compared to like how Liat is just acting towards like her own actions that have effect on people, like I think I feel less bad about being guilty, like, and I'm trying to take some responsibility for the things that I'm doing, but yeah, I think I clear it, hopefully.
Okay. What happened to, just out of curiosity before I go back to the other two?
She's in Hargrave House. I have not told Sir Atticus about it.
Excellent. There's also still a young man running around Hargrave House. This is excellent. You guys give me so much, and I ask for so little.
I'm actually going to stumble upon a clue before we end for the night. And
Absolutely.
I think when Georgie leaves the room, Liat hangs there for a moment before she hears something kind of hissing sound, and she steps away from the bed. And she looks down and she sees just an orb of writhing, coiling black snakes beneath. And when she looks upon it, they spread out and retreat into the shadows. And that's for the demon.
Nice. Go for it. And then going back to the other two, Sir Atticus, it's your vice. Did you want to invite a question, or did you want to stumble upon a clue?
I'll invite a question. Open
That's
book,
not what
Ernest,
I
let's go.
expected. I think that it would be following up on the fact that now I know that this wasn't the life you wanted to lead, and that your hunt was in many ways foisted upon you. I think the dramatic in me would ask Sir Atticus, well, I will steal less of your tobacco if you answer me one honest question, because frankly, your motivations are still a little bit cloudy to me.
Oh.
Yes. This hunt that seems to drive you now. If you did not choose it, why do you choose it now? Still pursuing it passionately with seeming no end in sight.
The third robbed me of many things. And the beast was a fool's errand. If I don't kill the beast, then all the other deaths that have been caused by the Wellington-Hughes family will go unanswered.
So, pride,
No.
vanity,
Who would believe me?
well, I'll still try to pin a sin on you yet, Atticus. And
If
then
you
just like takes a
must.
pinch of tobacco and you see it kind of like fall on the floor and pack a new pipe.
If you must, choose wrath.
I love that cut there.
So do I. Oh, all right. Yeah. So continuing on day phase for next time. Let's just do a really quick round of stars and wishes, like name a star, name a wish, unless you can hang for a few more minutes, because I don't want to keep anybody like longer than they have to. So
I want to revel in stars and wishes because it
Okay.
was a great session.
oh my gosh.
And I have nothing after this. So
Okay.
Same.
just yay
Yay.
to have the whole
Mhm.
gang here again, and unified Hargrave House was a lot of fun to play through. There was so many like cinematic moments in this camp, like this particular like round. I felt like this session had a lot of emotional content that kind of crept up on us in a way that really was a nice counterpoint. I know that I do play Ernest as the comedic foil, but having that little moment with Liat of his perceptiveness and her momentary vulnerability was super powerful for me. I loved the Obert moment of bringing a knife to a gunfight. But more importantly, I loved the Huntsman reveal before it was Obert. That was really excellently done. One of my favorite things in storytelling is broken timelines. That deja vu, fucking mean times, all of that folding into the rest of our campaign. Like, I'm mad that they're the servant of the mastermind, but I ain't mad at it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun going forward, just as a flavor of a wish. But it's also really fun to watch Mike play with that, like, what I know now, which I didn't know before, about that time of the thing that hasn't happened yet. So all of that is just gold, and I love it. I think I had, so the solution that Jack came up with for the second mean times question, I know for a fact that I was sitting on a clue that I owed for that mystery because I was messaged, and I literally wrote that orrery as a clue 3 minutes before Jack came up with that solution. And it's just a star this big around, friend. It was just beautifully done. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I just want more of this, and that's my only wish.
I gotta give a star for everyone for dealing with my kind of bullshit. Of just like sitting on this particular mask for a while, and like keeping like things like Dame Georgie has like a lot of things just tied to his chest. Like he's not that complicated, and at the end of the day, but like him being vulnerable with other people is like a job and a half. As well as him bringing home a vampire, that's fine. Not to mention that he created a vampire. That's fine. Sir Atticus just generally being like, "Oh yeah, my sister's here. That's great. We're gonna hunt down this thing, solve some problems. Everything's gonna be all right." Compared to like suddenly a gun. And I just love how like that particular scene, like I pulled out a gun, shot Obert, and then we cut over to like Ernest like swirling his kind of hair while invisible. That was just amazing, like parallel there. Liat. Oh man, I can't predict where scenes will go for you there. I'm just like, there's so many layers to it. Like I don't think Liat is necessarily always a bad person, but like she just gets under Dame Georgie's skin, like of like you're not quite one thing or another. You're just sort of in this gray zone, and Dame Georgie wants things to be very black and white, but that can't be that. So it's just very fascinating in terms of moral differences between the pair of them.
Yeah, this is fun. I like the punchy night phases, but sometimes I also just kind of like the night phases that sort of just play out and get to take your time. Because I feel like it would have been hard to get as many moments like we did tonight in a like more truncated night phase, you know. So I appreciated that. I really liked Warrior Nun. I liked Atticus's fucking warrior nun sister just popping up out of a different timeline and saying, "Yo, we got stuff to do." Like as a player, I appreciated that because I love Atticus and I want him to be happy. Whether or not my actual characters do. I mean, most of my characters want them to be happy. Mildred wanted them to be happy. I think Liat, in her own twisted way, wants him to be happy. Just not at her expense. But no, I did really like it. I really liked that those kind of scenes between the two of you, and the moment between Atticus and Ernest, where Ernest sort of just leaned down and like you can't see him, but you know he's there, and just sort of like confronted you with something. It was really cool. That, yeah, I mean, like, I understand, like, I feel like you have a lot invested in Dame Georgie, Caddick, and I feel like, and yeah, this is just my read on it, but I think like now that that mask is out of the way, you're going to be able to play a bit more. Not that you haven't been playing already, but I think that like there was a lot of maybe internal pressure to reveal that in a way that made sense and that felt true to the character. And I think you did that. I think it was a very solid reveal. And I'm curious to see the other masks now and how that plays with the whole kind of other themes of colonialism that kind of pop up with the explorer. Because like I don't think you need to make that about like just like pure cut and dry colonialism. I think there's some really interesting things that you're doing with it with regards to like class and gender that I think that I'm excited to see where they go. And then I just liked having Ernest around for that meeting with the two entities, since it was so weird. And the imagery of just a pair of sailor pants and a hat, kind of hot. I don't know. But yeah, and also another star for Caddick for that vulnerable scene, because I think that there were some interesting things that came out of that. And I liked everyone's masks today. And yeah, Mads, again, thank you for running. Thank you for, I really liked you having the Queen show up at the, with that as a part of that fumble with the box. I don't know if that was planned or intentional, but it felt very, very natural and felt very like cinematic of like, oh, we are not in control as we think we are. And having Guinevere pop up was kind of a it forced me to sort of bring some stuff out planning on bringing out until later, but I felt like it was sort of a good point to sort of cap that off. It's just me.
Tonight was a fun session, as everyone has said. Let's go down the line. Chaotic, as everyone has said. The mask was really well done. It was a wonderful reveal. I'm very worried for the kid. Jorge, it's not gonna end well, is it? You don't need to tell me. I understand. Also, I know you had mentioned that you're kind of hoping that things would be stretched out a little bit, but the complication of having a vampire, just a free agent chilling in Hargrave House, is probably gonna those chickens are come home to roost a lot sooner than we probably expect. Gosh, I hope it turns out well. It was good to have that vulnerable scene, Ernest. Just kind of because we have like it's all about me from Liat, and Ernest is similar to that, but like there's enough of a difference that like being able to explore that in the vulnerable scene was really fun. And I liked being in that scene with you, especially when you just closed the gap and we're just like, no, we're making this pointed. So thank you for that. Also echoing just a bunch of sailor pants floating about. Very well done. Jack, Liat continues to be the center of everyone's attention. When your approach to time traveling fugitives is, but have you considered that I'm hot? And it works. Undeniables are just built different. I don't know. And then that closing vulnerable scene was not what I was expecting. I was 100% expecting Liat to be the like, oh yeah, immortal life is amazing. Have you considered that you outlive any consequences that could happen to you? No. She's actually taking the time to talk to Georgie and be like, have you actually considered what it means to be immortal? It was really well done. It was a nuance I was not expecting. And I am honestly looking forward to continuing to see how Liat develops. And yo, the Lancelot reveal though was also super dope. Like I was not expecting that. That's cool. And then Mads, you asked me for Lauren's description, given that we've only referred to her as the sister in vague, like she existed and then she died sort of terms. So you asked for a blurb. I wrote something that I thought you would have fun playing and that counteracted Atticus. I think you did really well with it. It did feel like bickering with a sibling who's like, I have things to do and you're slowing me down from them, but damn it, you're still family. So that was fun. One additional wrinkle that I want to call out here is the fact that neither she nor I exist in this timeline, which means that somewhere there is actually a Loren and an Atticus that do belong here. I don't know where or when they are, but I'm just saying, like, if that's what you're planning, that's going to be a mess. Wishes. I don't know. I think I want to fight the animal pig guy. I think just letting Atticus track this guy down and figure out what's going on would be fun. Also going to Bout Club seems like a good infiltration mission for Atticus.
The last time I played Bout Club, my character was female, so I'm looking forward to actually being able to cross the threshold of this mystery.
Dame Georgie is going to have some feelings about Bout Club. That's fine. That are totally normal.
And I went as my legacy when I did this. So this was a blast. And I will say, please be reminded that Figg's Pigs has Mask of the Pig.
Mhm.
Demon of Kilburn Abbey has Mask of Sacrilege. Shoreditch Slugger has no mask.
Oh, that's weird.
It's a
There's
very,
a special
very
move that
unique.
we get if we solve one of the questions, though.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Right,
So-
right. The siphon power thing. All right.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Source of the power.
Yeah.
So, my gosh. So real quick, agree with all the stars as usual, but I mean, there was just something about, I mean, again, I was like thinking very cinematically, like trying to like address all the scenes, like, going back and forth and what have you. And yeah, I didn't quite plan the mastermind appearing where she did. I was actually hoping to like make her appear with Dame Georgie, but I think it just fit more with the scene on the ship. I mean, it was just, you gave it to me. You guys gave it to me so organic, and it came out wonderfully as far as I was concerned. So I'm hoping you had fun. If you didn't, I'm so sorry, but it just, that's the way it, like I saw it in my head. And there was just something about tonight's vulnerable moves that was just even more deep and layered than, like, normally the vulnerable scenes always work. I mean, like, you guys like, work well together, and I mean, it's just always a great back and forth. But tonight, something about the conversation about being immortal and trying to tell Georgie this is how it's going to be, and you have to see how you're going to deal with it. But then Georgie kind of mired in his own shit, and then probably not even like,
Well, kids never listen to their elders,
right, exactly. So I mean, and then of course, like, you guys already had a adversarial relationship to begin with from previous scenes together. So yeah. And for some reason, like, Sir Atticus and Ernest really worked. I mean, I think it was this whole conversation again, like there's this theme since season 1 about being who you truly are. And I think somehow that's still drifting here in this particular season. You guys are all enacting it in your own ways, and I think it's wonderful. You may not be conscious of doing it, and that's fine too, but keep doing what you're doing. This is such an organic play that I am enjoying just watching you, and all I'm doing is providing the world that you are enacting and engaging with. So it is a pleasure for me. You're making my job easier, and you're giving me a shit ton of ideas. Thank you. Who needs fuck ton of dynamite? I got all this, like all these things that, all these loose ends that are
Emotional
They get-
dynamite.
yeah. If they get wrapped up, fantastic. If they don't, we'll see where the directions go. You tell me, or you show me what you're interested in, and I'll run with it. So thank you very much again. So stars all around as usual, but even more so for whatever reason, because tonight just felt like, there were some themes that were actually like dug into. I mean, even through the unseen, regardless of whether you thought you got an echo of the night or not. I mean, like, goddamn. I mean, it was running. The bucketfuls of blood was running through both. Okay, just somehow. And yeah, so I'll leave that for now. So much stuff, so many people in Hargrave House now. Yay. Can't wait to see it. All right, investigations ahoy. Oh my God, have a wonderful week and happy gaming. My God, I mean, I can't get over it. This is amazing. Holy shit. Okay.
I mean, if Mads cries at the end of every video, we've done a good job, right?
Yep.
Oh, wait until season 1's mastermind threat. Shit, it's bad. It's real bad. God. All right. Thank you all. All right. See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.